Happy holidays to anyone who's watching this video. So we're starting here at Derek's Christmas trees in a place called Deer Park, Texas. In the years prior to 2024, I always had a fake Christmas tree, and that tree last year blew out.
This is post-avalanche.
The idea of getting a flock tree was mine, and it's based off of a tradition that my grandmother had of always getting a flock tree at a Christmas tree lot, farm style place in Los Angeles called Pepe Lopez. So my grandmother would always get a medium or a full flocked tree, and it would always be very tall, 7 or 8 feet, because we had very high ceilings in the house. So it was just a tradition that I really always loved, especially going to that lot and having the wild rabbits running around and chasing after them, and going into the barn area and looking around at the different things that they were selling, and the wreaths and the garland and etc. When you get the tree flocked, you pick out the tree one day, and then you come back the next or several days after to collect the tree once it's been flocked. And it just, because the flock has to dry and it appears to look like it's been snowing. So it's a very nice feature or touch.
Rude. You should keep that in.
So Christmas cookies are obviously a staple for myself and for
Boy.
This year he wanted to make Christmas sugar cookies, but as usual he likes to put his own twist on things. So the ingredients sort of deviated from the traditional, and this was his opportunity to also
Scrape it good.
use on camera his dough stretcher.
What the hell is that, flour?
I hope so.
Influencer. You'd hate the idea of that. Such a wild ride. So you're gonna use this? Finally! Up. Oh. Wow.
Huzzah.
My stars. Now, don't take my word for it, but I'm just making an assumption that the dough stretcher serves a purpose, particularly in regards to croissants, when you don't want to use a rolling pin, because there's the faint possibility that you're not going to be applying equal pressure on either side of the pin, so you might get an uneven dough. In order to get a very precise and even sheet of dough, you use the dough stretcher. So I purchased these phallic molds.
You're only getting 4 PPs.
And I've never used them, so it was my opportunity to break them out. I suppose I shouldn't have done this, but I went to work with a few of these phallic cookies and presented them to the 2 girls that I manage. And I said, "Oh, at the risk of losing my job, I figured I'd bring you all a little penis." And they looked very concerned, at which point I unwrapped the foil, and they began to burst out in nervous laughter. And they each ate a bit of the cookie, but they were very careful in the way that they chose to eat the cookie. They broke off little pieces as opposed to just picking the thing up and eating it from the obvious tip. So,
That's right. Elf on the shelf.
Another tradition from my childhood is to drive around looking at Christmas decoration. So every year here in Houston, I like to go to River Oaks. The homes are massive and the decorations are very elaborate. Many people get out of their cars and just sort of walk around, looking at the detail and the sprawling estates. River Oaks is a historic community annexed by the city of Houston in 1927, and an additional nearly 4,000 acres were added to the community. When River Oaks was being developed in the mid-20s, it became a sort of a fine living experiment that generated enough popularity from its very intricate planning to be written about in national newspapers and magazines. So it became a model, a stencil for communities all over the United States. Along Kirby Drive in particular, when the River Oaks community was being developed, only Tudor and colonial style homes were permitted to be constructed there in particular. River Oaks also contains that history, because apparently there were rules during the development in the 20s, including no house could be sold for under $7,000, and a gentleman's agreement had to be entered into, in which Jews, blacks, and other minorities were excluded from the community. Downtown Houston also decorates very elaborately each year, especially in front of City Hall. This year, it was noticeable that there were far less decorations in the city than there typically are. One theory is that people are self-deporting. People who would typically be paid under the table to put up these decorations have since left the country in anticipation of the incoming administration, or what I like to call the road cone, due to the orange color. Don't get me wrong, the decorations are still quite nice. So what you're seeing now is footage of Mademoiselle Louise, which is where Chris works. He's an assistant baker, assistant pastry chef. I forget the official title. But, yeah, he goes there every day, except, well, I won't give his full schedule. But basically, goes there and goes ham on those pastries. World Market is a place that has lots of trinkets and lots of decorations, so it's a great place to wander around, especially during the holidays. At the time, we were planning a party for the 30th of December, so one of the things that I ended up buying at World Market were 6 bottles of the Belvoir rose lemonade, sparkling rose lemonade, and you can get that in many different places, including Whole Foods. I think it's a little cheaper at World Market. This bakery, this French bakery, we had been driving past here. So on this particular day, we made a choice to go there specifically. We left the house early enough to be able to get breakfast there. And as you see, we got quiche, we got danishes, we got, well, I got a latte, Chris got a cappuccino. And it was just a nice experience. And it's been family owned since 1973. I believe they do the baking on the 2nd floor. And everyone speaks French in the shop, even the employees who aren't relatives. Crate and Barrel is another amazing store. I must have been 12 or 13 years old when the Grove opened in Los Angeles. It was 2002 or 2003. And anyway, I don't know if it's still there, but they had a Crate and Barrel in the Grove, and we used to wander around. And at the time, I used to watch this show called The Everyday Italian. It was hosted by Giada De Laurentiis. And her cookbooks were in Crate and Barrel, and she used to talk about that on her show. And so, and I was like 12 or 13. I would imagine what my adult kitchen would be like, what my adult home would be like, and sort of just... Pottery Barn is another favorite. All of our dishes come from Pottery Barn. Actually, my grandmother gifted us, as a housewarming gift, a set. It's called the Gabriella dinnerware set. We always go to the Galleria just to look around for stuff, just, again, window shopping, and to see their tree and all the people skating. And, I used to figure skate when I was 14. I did that for about a year, and I always get a little urge to get out on the ice, but nobody ever wants to skate with me, so I'm just going to have to say, F it, I'm going to go whether anybody joins me or not. One day, I keep telling myself one day I'll do it. And I have a couple of times since I've been in Houston, but for the most part, I just, I just look. So, Chris tends to invest in his culinary accessories. What I like to do is get him the things that he probably doesn't spend a whole lot of time thinking about or purchasing. And that includes clothing. He's not really one to believe that fashion is particularly important, but he does have a specific taste in fashions of yesteryear. My aunt bought Chris and I an immersion blender. It's something that he's been mentioning and wanting for a little while now. I'm I'm looking forward to soup. Sweater weather is here. So one of the things that his cousin dropped off was a gift bag filled with pretty amazing stuff. Indigenous chai, indigenous honey. I mean, exciting things. So Chris and I went to the Galleria one day, and then later in the week when I was at work, he went to the Galleria himself. Anyway, it was to buy me a pair of Cole Haan shoes that I'd been looking at and admiring. Chris makes amazing hot chocolate, and I love the abuelitas hot chocolate. You know, it's something that I've been introduced to by him, something I never would have picked up on my own. And it's just great. I could just drink the stuff round the clock. And he also, of course, made whipped cream from scratch. So that, in a rather large nutshell, is a recap of our holidays from 2024. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stay cozy and warm, because apparently a polar freeze is coming.